Hi everyone, so today we're going to take a look at installing the focus motor, Celestron focus motor onto the RASA11, of which you need to use the Retrofit kit. The RASA11 is my new scope that I did the unboxing a few days ago. I'll post the link up in the corner. And another video that's yet to be published in the latest haul of Astro goodies. I purchased the focus motor and the Retrofit kit to go with this OTA. Over on my Edge 11 I've also got the Celestron focus motor, so that's why I've decided to stick with that. I'm quite happy with it. I did consider switching to the ZWO EAF, but you know, I just felt stick with what I know, quite happy with it, so that's what I've done. I can always change in the future if I find I need to. Okay, so first thing I've done is I've mounted the RASA onto the CGX Mount, and I put some balance weights on there, and she's reasonably well balanced. Obviously I've got no camera on the front at the moment. This is just purely for setting up the focuser, and this is the first time that I've mounted it, or put the OTA onto the mount, and I needed to use two 7 kilo counterweights and I think it's a 5 kilo counterweight, so there's a fair bit of mass just there to get the balance right. Everything's still within the limits of the CGX mount, which is rated for £55. So the OTA is 20 kilos or £44. So everything's sitting happy there. Okay, so first up, let's see what we get in the box. So the Retrofit kit, let's turn the camera down a little bit. Okay, so in the Retrofit kit, we get, it looks like a washer of some sorts, a screw and a spacer, and then we've got this, looks like a bearing and a shaft assembly, which I dare say will slot in to replace the existing one on the mount. And obviously in the box we have a set of instructions. So yada yada yada. Okay. And the focus motor, so again a set of instructions. I did do an unboxing and setup of the focus motor onto the Edge 11 previously. I'll put a link to that video up in the corner. So everything in the kit should be exactly the same. You've got the cable for going back to the auxiliary port on the mount or onto the auxiliary port splitters. A wrench, screwdriver and Allen key. We've got the two rings for the smaller and the larger Edge OTAs, and the spacer for the smaller mount. I don't know which one we need for here. I think it's the large one, the same as the 11. And then of course we've got the focus motor itself. And there we have it. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to slew the telescope round so that the lens is pointing towards the ground, and I'll give us a flat surface to work to on top of the telescope. So let's maybe move the position of the camera so we can get a clear. No, that doesn't look too bad. Okay, let's put the slide on top. Alright, so first things first, we need to remove the rubber off the top of the focuser, and that was simply a straightforward pull up. It should come away. It's coming up very slowly. If needed, you could always just put a flat blade screwdriver, a big large one, underneath and just pop it up. Alright. Okay, now it wants us to rotate the focuser counterclockwise as far as it will go. So this is obviously moving the focus mirror back to its lowest point, so that's it hard stopped there. And it says now to remove the 3 screws that connect the focuser. Remove the 3 screws and we've removed the ring. Okay, now we need to pull out the focuser so that the bushes, oh, it's fair, that's covered in grease. I'm wondering if it's better to do this on a table. Okay. Yes, so let me go and get a tissue. Okay, so I went and got myself some tissues because there's some grease in behind here, and I've changed the rotation of the scope so that it's sitting on the horizontal now, and I've moved the position of the camera just so you can see what I'm doing. And let's see how this goes now. So the next step is to pull out the rod so that you get access to this nut. Now the spanner that comes with the motor focuser doesn't fit there, so I will have to get one of my own. Okay, so I'm going to go in there, get a good grip of it, and then it says we need to rotate . Okay, so it's just dawned on me that when I pulled out the brass focuser and the bearing assembly, it looks identical to the one that is in the Retrofit kit. So I am thinking that because this is the V2 RASA and not the V1 RASA, that the Retrofit kit is no longer required. So I'm going to go on the assumption that it is no longer required, and we'll see what happens there. So this Retrofit kit is maybe not required, in which case we should be able to just proceed directly to fitting the motor focuser. So I am going to put everything back in the horizontal again, sorry, the vertical again. Oh, I'm just making a mess here. And go ahead with installing that. So let me just pause the video while I rotate the scope again. Okay, so I've rotated the scope back into the horizontal again. I have made sure that the little rubber washer that sits under the bearings is sitting central, and the mounting holes are back exposed again. And now we should be able to just install the focus motor without the Retrofit kit. So being the 11-inch, we need to use the larger of the 2 rings that's supplied with the focus motor, and we want to be able to position, so I know there's a hole, mounting hole here, and I want to be able to position it in such a way that when the focus motor is mounted, it's not sticking out to the side. So there's effectively 3 different orientations I can have it in, and then a couple of degrees off left and right or whatever. So I am wanting to have it in that position, I think it is. It should give me a hole there and a hole there. Well, let's try it. Okay, so we'll take the 3 original screws that came out of the telescope and put them back in using the new mounting plate. Okay, I've got a thread there. Certainly one thing, that black grease that they're using for the focuser is sticky. It's getting everywhere. I'll clean it up with some alcohol and WD-40 later. So I just want to make sure that the plate is parallel and not getting pulled up at an angle. So just gently tighten each one bit by bit, making sure that the focuser is still remaining central. Okay. And in my Edge 11 video, when I installed the focus motor, I talked about the issues with motor stall. So it would reach certain points and just not go, and this is due to it not being perpendicular to the mounting assembly. And one of the other issues I had was that when I installed the focus motor down, it wasn't going down far enough due to the clamp assembly needing to be opened up just a fraction. So I will open up this one just a little bit more on this occasion. If I can find the Allen key that comes with it. There we go. So open up the clamp. There we go. And then I'm going to just get a flat blade screwdriver. And I'm just going to gently tease open the blades of the clamp just a touch, just to help it slide down far enough. And then we can mount. That's sliding on a lot easier. Oh, too hard. Let's just open up. That seems to be sitting square. Okay, so now we can tighten down the clamp. Tighten down the focus motor onto the mounting plate. Trying to make sure everything stays square. That appears to be it. One final nip. Okay, and the clamp assembly is visible here. So we can also now tighten that up. Okay, so that should be it. So next up, we just need to do the software side of it and the calibration. Alright, so let's hop over to the software side of things. Okay, so just before we go into the software, you may notice that I've moved the position of the focus motor. I wasn't happy where it's at and I wanted to bring it round a click, so that's what I've done. And next up, the other thing is I forgot to mention was when you're making or when you're going to mount the focus motor, you want to make sure that the arrow pointing into the white zone on the shaft, and you can use the provided spanner just to tweak that and align them up before you mount it, and that makes sure that the grub screw is visible outside the housing. And another thing to do is make sure that you have tightened that grub screw before you turn on any power, otherwise it could start to rotate and jam in behind the body housing. So now that I've rotated it all, made sure it's pretty square. I also made sure that the focuser wasn't on a hard stop before I started, so that I know that the motor's not going to be seized, or shouldn't be seized. So next up, we take the flexible cable and we plug that into the motor port and onto the auxiliary port, onto the mount, or into one of the auxiliary splitters if that's what you're using. And I've connected the USB so we can connect, switch on the mount now. Alright, so I can close that old video there, and if we open up CPWI, I can click start, and up in the top you'll see connect mount USB, and on the left hand side, once I click that, we'll see searching for focuser, and there you can see it there. Once that's found, the focus menu becomes available. So I can close this window down here. Go into the focuser and we go down to calibration, and it's a simple case of pressing begin, and the motor will drive all the way to each end of its limits to determine its maximum travel, and then it will return back to the center point. So as you can maybe hear, there's a slight noise difference as the motor is rotating, which suggests there's a slightly tight spot, so maybe you have to still play around with the positioner of the focuser. I touched that there, so I don't know if I knocked out the calibration. I don't know what on the RASA the limits are. I think on the Edge 11 it was around about 27,000 stops for full end-to-end travel. So it'll be interesting to see what this is. Okay, that's it finished there. Now it should be driving back to the midpoint. Okay, there we have it. 6,171 appears to be in the midpoint. So if we now go up to focuser control panel, you can see it's on the 671. It's got position steps 1, 2, 3, so it's on 3. And if I set to 5,000, I always hit enter, hit move 2, it should drive down to 5,000. It's winding back in. There we go, 5,000. And let's try the other way, 7,500. And there we have it. Alright, so what have I learned from that today? The instructions or the information on the websites are wrong, and I don't need the retrofit kit for the V2 RASA, so I will drop a note to the telescope company to make sure they update the literature. But it does appear that I've got a spare bearing assembly for the focuser should I need it, and we'll see how this goes. I may have to tweak this a little bit more, but in the meantime, that's it. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.